Hi, welcome to Firefighter Education. In today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we can do to help keep our children safe in our homes. Children commonly have an unsafe interest in fire just because they're curious and they want to learn more about it. But as parents, carers or guardians, we need to make sure that we are very careful around this curiosity. There's a few things that we can do to keep them safe, and I'm going to outline them in today's video. Now, the first thing that we can do is make sure that lighters and matches are not accessible for our children. And in doing that, straight away we remove any chance of them playing with it without us knowing about it. We also want them to understand that if they ever find a lighter or they find some matches, that they contact an adult and they hand them over to them. Next, we want to educate our children that there are good fires and that there are bad fires. Now, when we talk about good fires, that might be like a candle on a birthday cake, or maybe a cooking fire camping. But a bad fire might be a house fire or maybe a vehicle fire. So we want them to understand that there are some good things about fire and there are some bad things, and that the negative fires are the ones that can hurt us. They can hurt our health, we can get burnt, we can get sick from being exposed to them. It's also very important that you engage and involve your children in developing and practicing your home fire escape plan. Now, if you're unsure of how to develop one of those, we've got a detailed tutorial on the page that you can check out now. But we want to make sure they're involved in that process and they understand it, that they know that they need to go to a central meeting point outside of your house. They know your address and they know what number to call in the event of a fire. One thing that children really struggle to grasp the concept of is the gravity of the consequences that can happen from using fire. Now, this starts with how it can affect them. They can be burned. But what does that actually look like? Well, that means that they might need skin grafts for the rest of their life, and explaining that to them at an appropriate age can be a massive deterrent if they do have any sort of unsafe interest in fire. Remember that if that's something that does happen to them, it's a very long and painful road, where as they grow, their skin where the burn is doesn't grow. So they'll need to have surgeries constantly to help cut and skin graft to make that actually grow with their bodies. Incredibly painful, and something that you can definitely pass across to them at an age that you think is appropriate. Now, other consequences they should be made aware of is that people can lose their homes. They can lose their vehicles. If it's in a commercial setting and their workplace gets damaged or burnt down, well then they can't go to work to make money, to live. Other consequences you can educate your child on include other people being hurt, potentially killed, but also animals. Sometimes children tend to relate more to animals and understand that they can also be hurt or they can also be killed in the event of a fire. They also need to understand how quickly things can change, because often they think that they have control over a little situation. A small fire gets big very quickly, as we've learned and discussed in other videos. An activity that you could do with your child, if you see necessary, is to give them an example of a fire has started. Now I want you to leave the room and get a bucket of water and come back. By the time it takes them to do that, by the time they've come back, the situation will be totally different. Now, I don't want you to light a fire to test this, but what you can do is go onto the internet and find a video of a fire starting from a small fire. And you'll see that over a period of 2 minutes, that fire will grow drastically with lots more smoke, bigger fire, and a lot more heat. And that can just be a really impactful exercise that sticks with them for a long time. Another really impactful consequence that is worth educating your child about is that their loved ones could be hurt from an action that they have actually taken. So a parent or a brother or a sister has been hurt or potentially killed from some unsafe fire play that child may have been engaging in. So now that we've discussed how to educate our children about the consequences that can come from fire, we want to educate them about what to do if they ever do actually catch on fire. Now, there's something that we can do called stop, cover, drop, and roll, which we need them to practice and understand. So we stop what we're doing. We cover our face. We drop to the ground and we roll. Now, this is something that you could do with them anytime, anywhere. Drop on the ground and practice. It's important they understand that that's how they can actually put the fire out that's on them. Another thing they need to understand is that if they're ever in a fire, if your house catches on fire, how do they get out? Well, they need to get down low and go, go, go. That's on their hands and knees, going straight out to your safe meeting point that you've decided on in your home fire escape plan. Again, this is something that you could practice anytime, anywhere. They also need to understand that they need multiple exit points from their bedrooms in case there's ever a fire. This is something you need to work through with them so that they understand what to do if that situation ever arises. One other thing you need to be very careful about with children is leaving them with candles. We never want to leave them unattended with candles. The reasons are obvious and it's very dangerous, so make sure that they are always monitored if they have access to candles. If you're looking for a safe alternative, you can actually get battery-powered candles, which can give the same sort of feel as a normal candle, but is obviously much safer. Another powerful message to get across to your children is just how many people are affected if they do play with fire in an unsafe way and a fire starts and spreads to your home, just how many people are affected from that. If we have a look at them to begin with, you have the child that's actually lit the fire. The fire spreads. The family are affected because they also need to get out of that house. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. We then have the emergency services who come: fire, ambulance, and police. Let's just say that someone gets burnt and now they're going to hospital. Well, now we've got the hospital staff that are going to have to interact with them and deal with that. A whole range of different professions dealing with that patient. But then we also have the effects that go on to those first responders in the future. So how does that then affect their family and their friends? You can see that it goes from one person, being that child, to well and truly into the hundreds. It's important that they get an idea just how many people are affected from one decision that they choose to make. Thanks for watching the video today. I hope that now you understand the importance of educating your children about fire safety and educating them about the consequences, what to do if they ever catch on fire, how to get out of a house that's on fire, and the reasons why we don't ever want to unsafely play with fire. If we can do these things, we'll help keep our children safe and also our families in our houses. It's also very important that your child understands what the beeping sound actually is from a smoke alarm. Because if in the middle of the night they hear that sound, they need to understand what it means. They need to understand that there could be smoke and a fire present, and they need to initiate the home fire escape plan that you as a family have come up with. They need to know where they're going at that central meeting point outside of the house. They need to understand who they're going to call. Is it 000? Is it 911? Whatever the emergency service contact number is for where you live. And just remember that lighters and matches are tools, they're not toys, and it's important that your child understands that. If you have any questions about anything we've discussed, please let me know in the comments section. You can also follow links to more detailed tutorials about some of the topics that we've discussed in the links on the screen.